is up, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on Sunday morning, July 6th. 7-game baseball slate here to break it down, as always, on Sunday morning. Third and Schlong. I'm Draft Sheet, of course. Bryce, how you doing on this Sunday morning?
Had a good holiday weekend. Had a nice winter. What was that, Thursday night? I've been messing up the days here because,
it's hard to keep track, man, with the weekly winners you're shipping over there.
the 4th of July felt like a Saturday.
Yeah.
I woke up yesterday. I was like, this is Sunday. We have the show, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, we actually don't. It's today. But Sundays have been good to us. So I'm going to try and keep it rolling here.
Yeah, absolutely. It did feel like Sunday yesterday. But it's, we got the extra day. One more day to go here on the weekend. Appreciate everybody joining us here on Sunday morning. I'm sure some people, maybe suffering a little bit after a couple of fun days, but yeah, we're here to talk some baseball, pick some winners. It's nice weather everywhere. Summer, should be some scoring on the slate, good pitching, all that stuff. So yeah, let's jump right into it. We do start out in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. for the Nationals and the Red Sox. Two lefties here going at it at opposite ends of the pitching spectrum, I believe. You got the A's, Garrett Crochet, going for the Red Sox. Had a minor hiccup last time out against Cincinnati, gave up 4 earned runs, but the strikeouts were there, and really he's been, pretty much flawless all season, has Crochet. It's just good start after good start with this guy. I would expect nothing less here against a little bit of a watered-down Nationals lineup, so Crochet, I think, has to be near the top of anyone's list today. He certainly is for me. And then the Nationals will go with lefty over from Japan making his MLB debut, Shinsuke Ogasawara. I probably butchered that, but that's my attempt at that name. He's 4K. He's got like a 2-year, $3 million contract over from Japan, which I think Bryce probably says a lot about what type of pitcher he is. I don't know too much about him, but to me, not really in consideration, even at 4K. But what are you doing with this game, Nationals and Red Sox, Bryce?
So I got 1 out of 150. So I got one Osagawa.
Okay.
Or
just in case, I like it.
Just because he's 4K, I'm not going to take him out of my pool. But if I get over anything over 5% would be too much for me.
Honestly, a 4K pitcher who's going to give you 70 plus pitches is always an okay play. Yeah.
The thing about 4K pitchers is they allow builds that you can't get otherwise.
Yeah.
So if you want to put in the most expensive stack with the most expensive hitters, and then I think there's 3 really good pitching options here. You can get kind of everything that you want. So I'm not going to take him out of the pool. Normally, if he was more expensive, I would just X him out. But he's 4K. I always leave these type of guys in that are going to not be openers. But yeah, anything over 5%, I wouldn't feel too comfortable about. Crochet, obviously one of the elite arms on the slate. I think him and Wheeler just kind of make a lot of sense in terms of not totally screwing the rest of your team over. If you play skoo ball with one of them, it's just much harder to do. So yeah, I mean, it's doable. I will definitely have teams like that. It just really does handicap your bats to an extent. So I think I have slightly over 50% on all 3 of these guys. In a vacuum, I think Crochet is the best play of the 3. Price considered, skoo ball is the best, but he's up at 12K, which is pretty much the most you'll ever see for a pitcher. So I'm just naturally getting slightly less, but all 3 are very strong. Not to jump into other games before this one, but I think it kind of makes sense to talk about them all as a grouping here.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, I'm just really looking at, I'm only playing a few lineups, just the 3 pitchers, the 3 studs, Crochet, Wheeler, and then Skubal. I mean, these guys are just so good. It's, so consistent. And I do think, I'm curious your thoughts on this, Shalom, when there's 3 of these guys, I almost am more compelled to play them because you're just not going to get away with the fade on multiple of them, right? It seems like for sure at least one of them's going to smash. I think there's a good chance two of them go off.
Yeah, I mean, if I was playing three teams, I would play two combos of each of the three. I think is the way to do it. I do have a couple other pitchers in here, but like I have 55 Crochet, 56 Wheeler, and 58 Skubal. So like that's almost 200%.
Yeah.
Like of your total allotment at pitcher. It's really going to these three. I mean, he's just a great pitcher. It is good hitting weather here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he gives up like a solo shot or two. But, his strikeout upside is on any other slate. I would say it's unmatched. But, here these other guys can match it, obviously. Crochet would be raw points second for me, just behind Skubal. He's been so good. And this Nationals team will strike out some. And you get no Abrams in the lineup today, which I do think helps him a decent amount here. Like Nationals basically have two good hitters in. Yep. It's like him and Wood. So like I love playing lefties against the Nats in general. I think the more interesting conversation is the Red Sox bats. Like you get like a super cheap lineup here. Like they have two players over 4K. Duran and Gonzalez, and then it's just a very affordable stack. So I'm getting a lot of Red Sox here, just based on pricing because we want to play these stud pitchers.
Yeah, my only problem with the Red Sox, I think there's a lot of pinch hit risk, even at the top of this lineup. Eaton,
for sure,
Romy Gonzalez and Ref Snyder, I think all have a pretty good chance of coming out of this game. I mean, maybe relatively early. Willie Abreu is going to be in there as soon as a righty comes in, which could be. We don't know how long this guy's going to go. That could be the third or fourth inning. So I'm a little hesitant on the Red Sox stack for that reason. Really like Story. He's my favorite Red Sox hitter if you're going to go with the one-off there. Yeah, I'm not playing any Nationals bats. And I do rank them, I think, the same way you do. Crochet, in terms of preference of playing on the slate, once you factor in price, it is Crochet 1, Wheeler 2, and Skubal 3, but again, like I'm with you. I think it's pretty close between those three guys. And, sometimes you don't need to overcomplicate things, right? When you got those good options, you're playing three lines, like you said, play the combination of each and try to get to a winning lineup with the bat. So I see it the exact same way overall on this slate. It does bring us to Philadelphia for the aforementioned Zach Wheeler. I mean, don't know what else to really say about this guy. It's every start with him, almost without exception. Good start after good start. He's going to give you 100 pitches. He's probably going to give you 6+ innings. And I mean, holiday weekend, I just think these studs are going to mow today. We'll see, but that is my expectation for Wheeler. Don't think I'll play much Reds bats. And then this is the other guy I'm least considering is Chase Burns, coming off a horrific start against the Red Sox after I'm sure some people saw that Yankees start. I think he struck out the first 6 guys he faced, something like that. Electric stuff, throws 100 miles per hour. I don't know if you saw Bryce or people watching. It looked like he was tipping his pitches. He didn't get out of the first inning in that. You could see the Red Sox players like talking to each other, whispering to each other when they would come around, after scoring runs, basically. And then I saw a video where it looked like he was, tipping whether or not the breaking ball was coming. Something that I would expect him to have fixed in between these starts, but just an interesting tidbit there that it kind of makes me, just not worry about his last start being so bad if that's what was happening. And I think that is the most likely case. So 7.4K for Chase Burns. Listen, it's not a perfect matchup. It's a good place to hit, but there's a lot of talent there. And I do expect a bounce back outing from Burns here. So he's the other guy that I'm looking at. Bryce, what are you doing here with Phillies and Reds?
I mean, we already kind of talked about Wheeler a bit. He's obviously a great play here. I just kind of reiterate sticking around those three studs. There's a couple guys you can mix and match, and I think Burns is one of them. It's kind of a situation where I like to be over on both sides. Like, I think he's kind of susceptible to stolen bases. You saw the Red Sox run on him pretty freely last start. Not a ton of data there, but the Phillies are a team that will run, and I like their upside a lot on pretty much throughout the lineup here. Going back to the Red Sox, it's kind of the opposite situation. Like the Phillies, bottom of the order guys always kind of get pinch hit for, and like the Boston, like top of the order guys do. So that's something to note here. I always like the premier type of Phillies and like the cheaper type of Red Sox hitting towards the bottom of the order. They're two of my highest owned teams, and I think that I would prefer the Red Sox to the Phillies slightly, but once again, a situation where I kind of want to be over Burns. Like I think 5 to 10% on him will definitely be over. Like people are for sure going to be off after his last start, and if he was tipping pitches, that's a pretty easy fix as long as someone notices it in the organization.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would assume that they'll get that fixed. And the interest, like after 2 starts, and one of them was a third of an inning of tipping his pitches. I think the projections just don't have any idea what to do with someone like Burns. So I do think he's projected too low, and looks like nobody's going to play him. I'll take a shot at that price.
No, he's going to be 1 or 2% owned. Like 5 to 10% will be a significant buy on him. But I also do like the Phillies bats here. They're pretty cheap across the board. Like you've seen these guys up at 6K for a lot of the season. Schwarber, Harper, Turner are obviously the studs here, and then the rest of the team's all under 4K. So it's not like an impossible stack to get to with these stud pitchers, which is kind of what I'm looking for. There are a couple teams that I'll be priced out of in general and will be lower on just because of pricing. Slates. I love slates like this that are price sensitive. Where you're kind of choosing like middle of the road, like Boston's like a middle of the road offense, but on this slate they're one of the top offenses just because you can fit these expensive pitchers with them, and you obviously can't get Turner, Harper, and Schwarber in the lineup with this elite pitching pairing, but you can get a couple of them in with kind of like a middle to bottom of the order stack. So I do like the Phillies here. I would rank it Schwarber, Harper, then Trey Turner, but they're obviously all good plays. So, I would definitely make sure you get at least one of them in your stacks. Yeah,
makes total sense. And I do think that Burns versus the Phillies really could go any direction. Wouldn't be surprised to see Burns get a ton of strikeouts, but also, who knows? Maybe he wasn't able to solve the pitch tipping thing, or he's still a rookie, so we'll see. But I do think you can play that game, Burns versus the Phillies in particular, on both sides. And we're both in on the Zach Wheeler train for sure. Up next is Toronto and the Angels. We've got Kevin Gausman and Tyler Anderson going here. I think on other slates, Gausman would be a pretty solid play here at 8,500 against the Angels, but I'll be honest, I don't like him nearly as much as Wheeler or Crochet or Skubal. And I kind of think Burns is the unowned upside play I want. So Gausman, not going to make the cut for me on my 5 teams. And in Tyler Anderson, no interest in him. I do think the Toronto Blue Jays stack looks pretty damn good, though, against Anderson, who, obviously longtime veteran, can kind of be frustrating to stack against sometimes. It seems like he should get harder than he does. He hit harder than he does, but still, I do think this Blue Jays top 5 all looks good. And even the bottom of the order is super, super cheap if you want to go in that direction. So I like the Blue Jays. The Angels, I do think, have upside against Gausman, who does give up power. You can run on him a little bit. And, the Angels do have some decent bats up at the top of the lineup. So I think you could play the Angels as well. But the Blue Jays, my preferred side here, and definitely will be what I have most of from this game. Bryce, what about you? What do you see, Angels and Blue Jays?
I have the Blue Jays right up there with Boston as like my favorite bats of the day. They're very cheap, which matters a lot on the slate, obviously. I won with them the other night, and I know it's indoors, but the ball just seems to really it seems to be playing as much more of a hitter's park than it has.
And George Springer, by the way, is absolutely locked in right now.
Absolutely matching him. He's the one that won it for me the other night. He got 40 points and was like 1% owned. I think people are starting to catch on, but the Blue Jays are a high upside offense. Like all season, they've kind of been like this middle of the road, like low strikeout team, like that I wasn't extremely interested in, but they're running. The power bats are coming around, and I do like them a lot in this spot. I think Ernie Clement leading off is a great play as well at only 3.3K. I think he was actually my highest owned bat in my entire file. So I definitely like the Blue Jays in this spot. Don't really have any interest in Kyle Anderson here. Tyler Anderson, not an arm I'm going to be playing. I think I had 0% on him.
Yeah.
And Gausman would definitely be my favorite outside of the top three. If you're looking to, spend down a pitcher like a little bit, get slightly better bats, I think Gausman is my favorite alternative to the top three. And, ownership's definitely going to reflect that. Like, Gausman will be way lower owned in this spot than he would normally. And, I love playing pitchers against the Angels just because, they strike out so much. It's kind of like a high variance situation, which is spots that I want to attack. Like they do have good hitters like Neto, et cetera, have been hitting the absolute shit out of the ball. But, he just gets so many right-handed batters in this lineup. I think it's a really good spot for Gausman. He's going to go under-owned here.
Yeah, good strikeout spot for Gausman for sure. Although I do think, Neto up the top does look like the best play.
Especially a pitcher like today, you really do need that strikeout upside because like these top arms are going to get a lot of strikeouts. So I'm not really willing to play like a guy that's not going to strike out a ton of bats. But like if Gausman had 10 strikeouts in this matchup, I would not be surprised. You really do want like a raw scorer pitcher today, and he's one of the few arms that can match these guys at the top.
Yep, agreed. Just a few guys that you can play, I think, outside of the top three, but Gausman is on that list. That's Blue Jays, Angels. Seeing the slate very similarly today, Bryce, which I think that's a good plan for me. So hopefully see you at the top of the standings. Yankees and Mets are up next. Yankees going with lefty Max Fried. He's been very good himself all season long. Not quite as good of a fantasy pitcher as the likes of Crochet and Wheeler and Skubal. A really, really good real-life pitcher, but just the strikeouts aren't always there for Fried. And he does get, I think, just about the top version of this Mets lineup that they're able to roll out there. So, again, on a different slate, I would be absolutely willing to play Fried. To me, though, just too far behind Wheeler and Crochet for not enough price discount, I think, to make Fried a strong play on this slate. I do prefer Gausman if actually choosing between the two. Fried not going to make the cut for me. I assume you'll have a little bit at least. And then the Yankees, kind of a weird lineup from them today. No Ben Rice, no Jason Dominguez. I think there's one more bat out of there too. But a little bit of a watered down lineup. Mets going with a bullpen game, though, so it should be a good spot for the Yankees, who are in the lineup today, of course. Aaron Judge leading the way, as always. Bryce, what do you see here between the Yankees and the Mets?
I want to like the Yankees more, but, this is kind of a team that, I was alluding to getting priced out of, kind of with how expensive they are. Like, I hate stacking the Yankees without Judge, but that's kind of the way you have to do it to play like a 5-man Yankees with some of these expensive pitchers. Like this is kind of where like you'd start to go towards like a Kevin Gausman type of deal if you do want the Yankees here. I kind of am getting them a lot more in like small stacks than 5-mans just because of the pricing here. I do like the spot for them a lot though, so going to try and work that out a bit. I might increase their projections some just because I'm not really getting a lot, and I do think it's a good spot for them. Outside of Judge, it's very doable. It's just kind of getting him in with like the rest of them and like 2 of the expensive pitchers and stuff. Obviously Judge is the top bat here. I think Goldie, Trent, Stanton, Bellinger, they're kind of Yankees are always kind of like top of the order preferred stacks. It's just kind of a top heavy lineup here. On the other side of the ball, Mets, I don't really have any interest in against Fried. As you said, he's a better real life pitcher than fantasy just because he doesn't rack up a ton of Ks. That's kind of what I was alluding to, is like Gossman being my favorite alternative as opposed to Fried. Like, obviously Fried can come out and throw a great game, but a great game to him is like 7 or 8 innings and like 5 Ks.
Right.
And obviously you would take that, but that's like not his ceiling. He can obviously put up strikeouts, but it's not really the spot against a tough Mets lineup, on the road. And, he's expensive. Any other slate, I would definitely be interested in Fried. I don't love fading him in general, but I'm just not going to get a ton today. I'm hitting him, like 5%. It's just tough with all it. This is like the best pitching slate we've had in a long time, I think.
That's what I think too. And especially on the holiday weekend, like you could see, I don't know. Crochet and Wheeler and Skubal are going to be ready to go. The teams they're facing, who knows what version of those teams are showing up. I just think we're going to get just huge performances out of these guys. So I'm with you, Fried. And, Fried's got to take on the Mets, who have got their best lineup out there. They're going to be dialed in for this game. Just feels too cute to me to get to Max Fried. So happy to see you're on the same page there. We'll keep it moving. Tigers and Guardians up next. Very, very warm day in Cleveland. 95 degrees, some humidity, and winds blowing out to center field in this one, Bryce. Ball should be absolutely flying in Progressive Field here. Tarik Skubal going. Been just unstoppable, really, since the start of last year. The best pitcher overall in baseball, I think he is. A little bit ahead of Wheeler and Crochet, not too far. Does get a pretty good matchup here against the Guardians, despite the great hitting weather. But that is the hitting weather, I guess, one, more reason to go Crochet and Wheeler. But yeah, I do expect a big game out of Skubal, no doubt about it. And then Gavin Williams going for Cleveland. Talented pitcher, throws hard. Results, though, have not really been there, especially recently. It's been a struggle for Gavin Williams. And it's got me pretty interested in this Tigers lineup, Bryce. I think they can do some damage with the ball flying in Cleveland. Lefty power, in particular, plays really well in this park in this type of weather. Riley Green looking like, to me, one of the top options on the slate. But I really like, honestly, most of the Tigers lineup. I don't think I'm paying $4,400 for Javier Baez, but everything else I think looks good against Gavin Williams. So I'm in on the Tigers. I am in on Skubal, even though I will have more Crochet and Wheeler myself. What about you, Bryce? What are you doing with Guardians and Tigers here?
In most other slates, this is like a game I would really like. I think Joe Ryan is playable. Not getting a ton of him. We talked about these high upside pitchers that would kind of be alternatives. I'm getting like 5% of him. Most slates I would like him in the spot, but he just kind of falls behind the top 3 in Gossman. For me, I would prefer him just very slightly to Fried.
We're talking about Tigers and Guardians, right?
Oh, sorry. I had the Twins game pulled up. I was editing my teams. No. So we'll
get there, Bryce. We'll get to Rays and Twins. Give us your Guardians and Tigers.
Sorry about that.
We're good, man.
Yeah, I don't want any very easy game. Don't want anything to do with the Guardians. Skubal's too good. Obviously, we've talked him up already. Gavin Williams, I think he's kind of going to be a popular option as like an alternative to these guys, or like if you're going cheap. Don't love him. I definitely prefer the Tigers side here.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry about that. Was just redoing my file.
We're doing stuff well.
You like the Sunday shows are always kind of tough because you're like making your teams at the same time. Skubal, obviously love him. Definitely don't want to be under. And then, I didn't get to probably as many Tigers bats as you did here, but I definitely get it as like kind of like an off the wall type of stack.
Yeah, I was looking at these guys. I think Dylan Dingler is one of the better catcher plays on the board. Winfield Perez, not a household name, and he is expensive, but he's crushing it right now. Torkelson's got a lot of power. We know what Green can do. Yeah, I think the Tigers look good. Specifically, if you're narrowing it down, I like the 2 through 6. I think Keith is a bit of a pinch hit risk up top, and then Meadows and Sweeney as well. So 2 through 6, what I'm looking at most closely with the Tigers, and no Guardians for me against Tarek Skubal. Last 2 games. First, we'll talk about Milwaukee and the Miami Marlins here. We've got Edward Cabrera going for Miami, talented pitcher. I think he's an okay play today at 7.2K. At least an option. Again, mostly sticking to the aces today, but Cabrera, I think a reasonable bet to get 15 fantasy points. And then Brandon Woodruff, who not too long ago was considered kind of a borderline ace, had some injuries. He's been pitching like on a rehab assignment all summer in the minor leagues. I think he had a setback like a month ago and then came back. And my guess is that he doesn't look super great down there returning from injury, or else I think he would have been up long ago. So I'm not expecting Woodruff to be very good right now, which I do think makes the Marlins an interesting contrarian stack. Swinging the bat a little bit better recently. I've talked a lot about Stowers, Augustine Ramirez. These guys got big power. And even the top 3, Edwards, Sanchez, Lopez, this lineup coming together a little bit for the Marlins. I think they are sneaky against what I expect to be a pretty bad version of Brandon Woodruff. Can't be sure on that, but that is my expectation from him, just trying to read the tea leaves on what he's been up to recently. So, yeah, I like Miami here. And that's mostly what I'm going with. I do think the lefties for the Brewers, specifically Yelich, look pretty good too. But Miami's the side I'm looking at most closely here. Bryce, what are you doing with Marlins and Brewers here?
Definitely like the Brewers bats here a bit against Cabrera. I think they're going to be like a decent contrarian stack. Like I think people are pretty much going to play like the hot East Coast games in general. It's obviously not the best park, but I do think they have some upside here. Woodruff, I have like none of. Don't really want to be on him. We've talked about some alternatives to the top 3 pitchers. I don't think you should like stray too far. I think once again I had like 1 or 2 Woodruff teams out of my entire 150. So if he beats me, he beats me. Marlins bats, I do think are sneaky. Mainly playing them as like one-offs or like 2 and 3 man stacks, as opposed to like the full 5, just because like they're so cheap, they kind of let you do a lot of other stuff. So yeah, not a game I'm like super high on in general, but I do like Brewers bats some in like smaller Marlins stacks.
Our friend Big T, he's got the winner today. He thinks Agosawara is the best 4K option of the year. Easy cheese from the big man. You going to join Big T on the Agosawara train, Chris? I think I'm going to stay away myself.
I had the one Asagora team. I only
have one. Bump it up to 2 for Big T. 2 Asagora teams.
It did like rate very highly and make its way into the high stakes. So I think that's about as aggressive as I'll get on him. But I assume that that's going to be slightly over on him. For my 150, I'm not going above 5%. If he puts up, 25 and beats me, or 20, what you really need if you're playing him is 25 was kind of too aggressive. What you need with him is you need the expensive bats to go crazy. Like you need Aaron Judge to have like a 2 or 3 home run game, and the only way to get him with another like elite pitcher is to play the 4K guy. It comes down to a pricing thing with him. If you
are playing him, I would make sure to spend all your salary, right? Because you want to get
1,000%. You're playing him because to fit in the rest of the bats. Like that's what we said to start the show. Yeah, you're playing him to get stuff that no other combination is like possible to get.
Yeah, 100%. It makes sense to me, and I do love myself a 4K pitcher. So I don't think I'm going to get there today, but I do get the Augusta War love just to some extent. And it is a good matchup. There's a lot of strikeouts in that Boston lineup, no question about it. Let's talk about the last game. We'll do stacks, pitching, get out of here a little bit early and make our lineups. But first, Tampa Bay and Minnesota. I know you're eager to talk about this game, Bryce, so I'll give you the floor here in a second. Joe Ryan and Drew Rasmussen, two righties, two good pitchers. Rasmussen just doesn't go deep into games. They really don't let him go beyond 5 or sometimes 6 innings. Again, I do think he'll probably pitch okay while he's out there, but for me, not a great play today at 7,500. And then Ryan, I've kind of got him in the mix with Gaussman and Fried, where they'll probably pitch well, but will it be good enough to beat the true studs on this slate? I personally don't think so, but you did say you have some interest, at least, in Joe Ryan. Talk to us, Bryce, Tampa Bay and Minnesota here.
I already kind of talked about the pitching here, so I do think Ryan's like an okay alternative to some of these top guys. I like the Twins bats a good amount. I don't really have any interest in Rasmussen here. Twins are cheap, which is paramount on the slate. I think they can kind of compete with like what Boston, Toronto, Philly is kind of my favorite stacks here. I would throw the Twins in the mix. I like them a lot here. Guys like Royce Lewis are like super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very affordable stack, and as we've said, affordable is kind of what fits the bill here. Like outside of Buxton, you're getting this for like an average of like low 3s. So it's a very playable 5-man stack in my opinion. I think it's probably my favorite, like off the board type of play here. Yeah,
you can enjoy your zero from Mr. Royce Lewis, who hasn't hit a home run since the.
He's been so bad, but yeah, he's still a click for me at 3. If you want a slightly safer hitter, it would be like a Brooks Lee type of guy for 3K as well. I know you're a long suffering Twins fan and have a little bit of PTSD there.
Yeah.
Get to a couple of these comments. Scherzer won a slate with 7 points. Yeah, that was yesterday. Good luck winning a slate with 7 points for your pitcher here.
But the wording, you got the wording wrong. Scherzer was on the winner. Scherzer didn't win a slate. There's two different things, I think.
Well, that's more comparable to like Big T's guy going out there and getting you like 7 points.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Say it's what Schwarber Judge type of deal that gets you. They go out and get you 60, you might need that 4K guy. So yeah, it's definitely comparable, but it's a little bit of a different situation here.
Yeah, I think so too. And also Scherzer was on like half the team, so you got a decent chance to be on the
I played so much Scherzer yesterday.
I saw the ownership and I played him anyway, and I was just like, that was fucking stupid.
Well, he got yanked so early.
Yeah.
I think he ran.
He's got a permanent like hand injury that he can't even. Yeah, I don't know.
I think he ran a little bad. Like he was giving up like hit batters. Like he couldn't get anyone out, and he was getting good counts on him and couldn't get players out. And then he had the 3 up 3 down inning in the second, and then I thought he was fine, and then it just wasn't. Not to get too into the slate yesterday, but I do think it's kind of a good comparison as to like, oh, this is like the cheap pitcher of the day. You can't fit anything else.
David Ortiz giving us the home run boost on DraftKings today. You got a home run pick for the people, Bryce?
Is this one of the King of the Diamond ones where you want like a?
No, I believe it's just I'm not sure, but I think it's just a single boost. I haven't looked.
So yeah, the King of the Diamond stuff I absolutely love. So DraftKings, I think it's a super fun way to play it. Just don't choose chalk, and you can get like a significant boost. Like if you're choosing Ohtani or Judge, especially Judge here, it's just not going to end up great. I kind of like the Boston guys or the Blue Jays guys. Little off the board pick here would be none other than our good friend Trevor Story. I really
Yeah.
like him. You talked about him earlier. Him and Clemens are kind of my two highest owned hitters, so I would just kind of correlate it with that. Those would be my two, like, little off the board home run calls. No one's really going to play them, so yeah.
I'll give 3 off the board home run calls. 2 Miami Marlins, Augustine Ramirez and Kyle Stowers are both going to get one today, and then I think Winfield Perez for the Tigers also gets one. So there's 3 pretty off the board calls, I think.
For sure.
Stacks, Bryce. Give us your top 2. I think we're mostly on the same ones.
I will go my highest owned stacks are Boston and Toronto, and then I'm also going to give the Twins a little shout just because they're kind of approaching those numbers for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on Toronto. I'll throw in I like both the Tigers and the Marlins. So those are the 3 big teams for me. That's Blue Jays, Tigers, and Marlins, the 3 teams I'm looking at most closely. Pitching, we are both all over Crochet and Wheeler. And then you said you're playing almost as much Scooble as those guys in your 150?
Yeah, I have Scooball pretty much up there with them. And then I think Gossman's going to be a buy for me as well. He's like by far my favorite 4th pitcher. Don't really want to get too far away from those 4. Like I'll have, an Edward Cabrera team in there. Like I'll have like a weird, like a Joe Ryan team in high stakes, but it's pretty much those 4 or in those 3 plus Gossman.
Yeah. Wheeler Crochet will be my most used combination. And then I'll use some Scooble, maybe throw in a Gasawara team for our guy. Big T, can't let Big T win all the money.
I got one Gasawara high stakes team here. So if it wins, we're sending a little gift basket over to the Nials household.
Yes, sir. And then I will take a shot on one of my teams with Chase Burns, just so talented, unowned, and pretty cheap. Has me too enticed not to give it a go on one team. But that'll do it. We'll call this show a little bit early, get into the Discord, answering questions, finishing our lineups, and hopefully having a good Sunday. Appreciate everybody watching. As always, the show will be back at the normal time tomorrow. The 3-man booth, Game Log Mondays, me, Big T, and JT. Should be a fun show. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll see a bunch of you there. Until then, though, he's Schlong. I'm Draft Cheat, and we're out of here.